everybody, and welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, Virginia, aka Orange Zeppelin, and today I'm going to be doing something that I'm very well known for, which is just taking older art and repainting it because I'm incapable of leaving anything alone. And this painting's not even that old. I actually did it last year. I have a tradition of doing a self-portrait every year. This was the one for last year. I actually did a video where I showed my painting process, but I've had this on a shelf all year and I look at it every day and I'm at the point where it's like, I could have done a better job on a lot of things. It is done in oil paint, but it isn't varnish, specifically because I anticipated this event happening. I probably even said in the video, oh, I'm probably going to repaint this at some point. Now, that being said, I don't think it's going to end up being a super extensive repaint. I think I'm just going to change a few details. There's just a few things that are kind of bugging me. So without further ado, let's get painting. Alright, my assistant is here. Now we can get ready. So I still kind of use my bed as a backup desk, but what I started doing, I actually reorganized this little rolling tray system so that this top spot here, I keep that clear so I can use it for whatever painting or inking project I'm working on. If I'm doing acrylic painting, I'll put my water bucket in here so there is less spilling hazard. I've got a piece of newspaper and then a cloth, and I'm just gonna put all of the paints that I'm using, anything that might be open, anything that could spill. Today, I am gonna be trying out Gamsol, which in the past I've always used Turpenoid for oil painting. I am gonna try this out. It's supposed to be much safer, and considering how I paint in a not super well ventilated environment that I also sleep in, anything that isn't just completely terrible to be huffing. Actually, I'm gonna open my window. Alright, window is open. We got our proper ventilation. Actually, here we go. I can put that shelf right there. I'm not going to put anything that would be a spill danger on that. I can have all my little jars there. I got my treasure chest down there, and then I can see my assistant much more clearly. And then this way I can completely neutralize the threat of getting paint on my cool new Halloween quilt and my cool Halloween sheets. Okay, so I actually had taken a photo of this painting and did some digital edits to kind of get some ideas on what I want to change, what I want to fix. I think I'm going to move the position of the shield entirely. That's going to be the only really major edit. I will say that it looks a lot like a piece that I just made for an art contest. The pose is super similar. That's something I want to improve at, is just doing better poses in general. And then I did take some new reference photos, and I did a quick sketch of myself. And I have a couple of new pose reference photos. I took the original reference photo I used. It was just something I found on DeviantArt. I'll actually pop it over to the side. And I diverted a lot from the actual reference photo, so I wanted to take some new reference photos that actually match a little closer to what I did in this painting. So I'm actually not sure where I want to start when it comes to tackling the repaint, so I'm just procrastinating by looking through all my CDs and records and trying to decide what to listen to. But I think really the main way to tackle this painting is just to advance and vanquish. Alright, so I decided that the best way to determine what I want to fix, what I want to tackle, is to quite literally redline what I wanted to work on. And you can see I have got the face a little further along. I decided to change the skin tone because, well, I went with a more tan, goes out in the sun and adventure kind of skin tone. That's not what I look like. I look like I don't leave the house, so that's what I'm going with. I'm gonna wait a little bit to redo the war paint. I want to make sure I got the whole facial forms worked out, and then definitely I want to let everything dry, and then I'll go on with the war paint. Now, I am a little nervous about rotating, basically moving the whole shield, but we're just going to see how that works out. I'm going to use a really light wash of paint and just see how it works. I'm not going to commit to anything too extreme. The beauty of oil paint is if you feel like you just made a mistake, you can actually just take a rag and wipe it off. As long as it's still pretty wet, and oil paint takes a long time to dry, you can actually fix things pretty well. So I am on my second painting session. This is where I am right now. I'm kind of thinking I'm about to open a much bigger can of worms than I expected, because I'm looking at my proportions here, and I feel like I'm a little Hobbit-like proportionally here. I think it's partly because the belt is so high up. I might move that down, and I want to kind of change. I need to do some changes so it looks like I'm bending forward a little bit, because that was the original idea of the pose, and I didn't quite get there. I was kind of wondering if I wasn't just gonna do some changes on the sword, which what I'm using as reference, got a wooden sword right here. I want to just change the perspective maybe a little bit. That's actually why I have the mirror out, because all I have to do is just take the sword here and figure out, okay, how do I get this pose to work? It looks terrible on your end, but it's a lot more clear on my end. I don't want to completely redo the belt, but if I am moving it a little further down, I might need to do that. We're gonna see how this next session goes. So coming back after a break, I pretty much worked on nothing that I said I was going to. I'm focusing on the skin right now, and for the skin, what I was using, I started with, got Brilliant Yellow Pale Flesh Tint, little bit of Cadmium Red, and then Cobalt Violet Hue. I still feel like I'm a little too on the lilac side. I almost feel like I went a little too red on my face, but I feel like I should have a fairly red face here. My face gets really, really red when I'm pissed off, so I feel like a very red face going into battle is very appropriate. I did add a little bit of, there we go, Naples Yellow Light. This is a color I really like for doing skin tones. That's going to add a little more of a yellow. Actually, I think I can add a little bit of Sap Green. I feel like that is gonna work, because I do need to add, I'm gonna go in with this same green here. I'm continuing that tartan pattern. And then I've also got the green in the background. So if I use a color in one place, I do want to have it at least kind of spread out. It does spread your eye through the composition more. And then I am gonna go in with the green for my eyes. And then the war paint is still kind of just in sketch form. I'm going to go in with blue like I did in the previous version. So because of that, I think I'm going to add a little bit more blue into the shading of the headdress. I think that's just going to make the color look a lot better. I did slightly change what I'm going to do perspective-wise with the shield. I did have a little bit of like knuckles visible, and then I thought it just looked like ass. So I got rid of that, and we're going to do something a little different with the shield. So current state of affairs with the painting. That sword is... we're in the trust the process phase. That needs to, I think if I lengthen it, it might look a little, it just needs work. It's not looking too good. I am actually going back to the drawing board with a few things. I am gonna do some research on actual Celtic shield design. I went into this thinking this is gonna be easy. I'm just gonna touch a few things up, make it look better. No, every single thing is getting repainted. I have fully opened every can of worms that could be opened. Also, by the way, we are currently drinking Bullet Bourbon tonight. This is a fairly high rye bourbon whiskey. That's a little different than what I normally drink. I am very much a Scotch drinker, so I am dipping my toes into the world of bourbon. It's got some spice to it, which I think is pretty common for rye. Remember to share a dram with the horned god. This might be the power of suggestion, because I heard somebody describe this as having a little bit of a cherry flavor. I think I'm actually getting cherry, maybe a little bit of orange. It's an interesting flavor. I like it. All right, we are back at the drawing board. I really hope you can't hear that jackhammer sound. Oh, it stopped. Okay, good. I've been waiting for the jackhammering to stop so I can actually film and actually show you what is going on here. I did some research on specifically Iron Age Celtic artifacts. I was looking up different designs to use for the belt, coming up with a new idea for the shield. I am also keeping track of the length of my painting sessions. I'm using the run times of specific albums or specific videos I'm watching, so I know this is how long this session is, this is how long this session is. In the past, I have just not paid attention to how long my painting sessions were, but I want to get a more clear answer. And then I did some more sword sketching. One of the things you'll see in Celtic swords of this time period is I've heard it described as a leaf-shaped blade, so I'm trying to focus on that. And then I did some sketches of just wolf teeth, so I have the fangs worked out. I think I'm pretty much on the right track of what a wolf headdress should look like already. It was just the teeth didn't look super good. And then just for fun, here's a sketch I did in Stockmar crowns while I was at work. And then this is something I was working on the other week at work. This is a character that I've had for a really long time. I think I came up with her when I was like 10, and her design has definitely changed dramatically. I mean, if I've had her since I was 10, but I always want to do more with her. And I realized I pretty much gave her the exact outfit that I'm wearing in this painting. I'm on a animal skin headdress and impractical chainmail kick. Even though I'm doing the research on the artifacts, I'm not really concerning myself too much with historical accuracy. Like the chainmail I designed for my outfit, like, no ancient Celt is going to take the time to assemble this chainmail top that covers your boobs and then just nothing else. That being said, plenty of ancient Celts were like, who needs armor when you just have really cool pants?
By the sea, my heart is older than an old oak tree. I have the flash of silver in the sun. If you see me coming, you had better run, run, run from Dearg Doom, from Dearg Doom, from Dearg Doom, from Dearg Doom.
Alright, so today the goal is kind of to tackle things in a logical order of getting the skin pretty squared away and then going on to the headdress. Since the headdress is covering the skin a little bit, I think it makes sense to go from like this layer of thing to this layer of thing. The sword is, we're on the trust the process part of the process, except I'm not really trusting the process. Honestly, guys, I'm not sure I consciously know how to paint. I just put things on the canvas and then this happens. But I am starting to get really stuck in details and places. I need to just work on the torque. Anything that is just clearly unfinished. Like the torque, I should do that next, actually. While I'm doing the metal over here, I should jump back and fix that. That would actually be a good thing to do with the belt. Anything that's just completely unfinished is what I should be tackling today. Okay, I actually don't remember where I was in the process when I last filmed. I know that I did not have the tartan. I hadn't started doing this tartan. I was just in tartan hell for a little while, and I'm going to try to fix that today. I'd actually like to finish this painting today. Is that a really optimistic goal? I think that's an optimistic goal, but I am choosing optimism. I am also, I remembered how colors work. So I was trying to figure out how to shade this green here and not have it turn into mud. And then I remembered I can actually use a little bit of purple. It's kind of a, what is that, complementary color to the green. So that can make a nice shade. And I think it works because I already have used the purple quite a bit in other places. Not super obviously, mostly it's just been in the skin tone, so I think having a little bit of subtle purple in the green will work. I'm much happier with the state of the shield. The sword, we're still kind of in a work in progress, but I do want to add back in those blood splatters, and so once I've done that, I think that's going to help it quite a bit. It's not... I might need to get a ruler and see what's going on here. Alright, this is, okay, that's not bad. That's not bad. We need a little more work here. It is supposed to taper. You know when you tell somebody you're an artist and they're like, oh, I can't even draw a straight line. Like, bro, neither can I. Have you actually taken a good look at any of my comic panels? Like, there's some... Just don't look too closely at any of my comic panels. And something I just did a little bit ago, I did go in and add some brown into my eyes because they're not completely green. I have a little ring of brown just around my pupil. So I am gonna push to get this finished very soon. Let's get back to work. Okay, yeah, that green is going to be good. That is the cobalt, violet hue, and sap green. That's what I needed. Okay, so unsurprisingly, I did not finish the painting yesterday, but I am going to definitely get it done today. Maybe I should, I'm gonna knock on some wood. Right now we're just down here on the floor, and I actually spread all of my oil paints out because I have some, they're a little crusty. Hello, Catullus, hi. He has comments. He's gonna investigate. Okay, I've probably told this story before, but I did at some point take a oil painting class at a local art center, and I just had a real little set of paints at that point. It was this Reeves beginner's paint set, and the instructor of the class, great teacher, he took pity on my very small selection of paints and gifted me a whole bag of paints with the stipulation that they might not necessarily work. He had just like a whole bag of them, and they were in a Subway bag, literally sticking to the bag, because this has seen some years of use, and all the paints work perfectly well. I did test everything out. Nothing is just stiffened up over the years. It's just, this kind of looks like a biohazard. But really, there's nothing wrong with the paint itself, so that one I'm definitely going to keep. But then we've also got, I don't know what that is. It's just unidentified sticky red. Then we've got a nice crunchy cat hair cadmium. I have no idea why I get cat hair on absolutely everything. The problem with the little Reeves tubes is they do start to explode on the side. You can see this one kind of ripping open, and then the black, I can't actually open this one at all. You can see it's just twisted into a little corkscrew of bullshit. And right now trying to decide, do I need to maybe condense down all 47 cadmium yellows? So I'm going to do that, and then I am absolutely going to push to get the painting finished. Alright, it is the next morning, and I started today by accidentally putting my elbow directly into some wet oil paint, but I don't think you can actually tell where that happened. I am gonna call this painting good. I might need to get the tweezers out and get some cat hairs out, but otherwise I am happy with where this is. My final time for the process ended up being kind of 16 hours and 33 minutes. I did round up in some places, but when you consider at least part of my painting process is just kind of staring at everything, wondering what I've gotten myself into, it might be a significantly shorter active painting time. I'm definitely going to continue on with trying to track my painting times, because I think it is important to remind myself that good art takes a long time to make. Sometimes bad art will take a long time to make. But the point is that I want a good idea of just how long realistically things are going to take me. I'm going to put some pictures up on the screen of both the original version and then the repainted version. Looking at them side by side, I think it's kind of impressive how much I've changed in just a year. After this one is fully dried, I might actually varnish this one. We got some good weather to put a painting outside, speed up the drying process. Actually, I just remembered there was one thing I was going to do, and I hope I don't regret this, but we're going to see if we can't just put some... Oh wait, you can't see what I'm doing there. There we go. Okay, I think that is enough. I just wanted to add some scratches into the shield to make it actually look a little more battle worn. I think that was the finishing touch that I needed. So yeah, I am happy, so I'm gonna wrap up the video right here. Thank you all so much for watching. If you aren't subscribed yet, consider doing so, because I'm coming up on 300 subs, and I was suggested by somebody to do some 300 fan art for that 300 sub video, and I think that is an excellent idea. Also, I think this is going to end up being a Halloween upload, so have a wonderful Halloween, and I will see you in the next episode.